Hello everyone, welcome back to the Onvermel report. So another mock showcase for you guys today, and that being my Bayrak mock, who I call Zadak. So basically, there was a story I was writing and kind of wanted to fill with my lore where I needed to in the story there was other Bayrak, so I wanted to build another one to represent that because, as I may have mentioned before, usually when I build mocks, I'm building characters. So, obviously, with Lego itself, you do have the actual Bayrak Queens with Kadok and Gadok. But I wanted to build my own because with how the story is, it only worked. I needed a different Bayrak character. So I decided that in the lore that there were more than two Bayrak Queens because these were just the ones who lived in the head of Madanui, but I like to believe that there is swarms of Borok spread a decent spread over the body. Like you might have swarms in like the feet and the limbs, probably a nest inside the torso somewhere. Because if other parts of Madanui are covered that the Borok need to clean up, you might need different swarms. And I figured, well, why can't there be other Bayrag possibly as basically keepers there? So I think I decided there were 7. I think it was like the 4 limbs, the torso, and the 2 actual queens. So, putting those 2 to the side. So here we have, so again, this is Zadak, basically the 7th Bayrak Queen in my story. And what I really wanted to do was make one that really looked weathered and beat up and just completely like she's on her last limbs. So, like even with the head, you got this one more fixed side with the actual paneling and the full eye, while the other side is like missing a tooth. The eye is completely missing its covering. Paneling's gone. Same thing with I got one metal green panel here. This one's discolored. These have been mismatching, which that was actually a part restriction, but I decided to kind of roll with them. And you see all the exposed wiring and such mismatching there. I do actually really like how I managed to make a Bayrag, that still looks like the sets in a lot of ways, but with a little bit more posability. Because that was one thing about the original Bayrag, is that you don't really have posability. Like you can move the head, but you can't really pose it in a way. The legs really just go up and down. Really doing posability, you have the arms. Now, in fairness with mine, you don't have much more posing legs, but you can get at least, if you can get the balancing to work. Okay, it's been a while. Get a little bit more dynamic posing of the legs, at least especially if you get the position of the leg, the hips right, and I think I do need to add some friction sockets. But the big thing I wanted to do was actually have posing in the neck, which still kind of has the 2, beams like these ones do, but instead of actually being functional, it's just unball and sockets, so you have a lot of range of posability. That was actually one kind of fun thing about this mock, which sometimes having broken pieces can have a lot of effect, is this particular throwbody socket piece is kind of beat up, so there's like no clutch, so it's just limp and like that, which I actually kind of like in the characteristic of Zadak, because again, she is decrepit and really, really fragile and just falling apart, where basically in the story she can't really walk mostly on her own. She needs assistance from her servants. So the fact that she has like a very, very broken wrist is actually kind of funny to me. But yeah, no, I just kind of like the fact that I made a Bayrag, my own version of mock. Nothing like, it's really just a hunk of Technic, and I didn't have to worry too much about if it looked really clean, because on the Bayrag, the original ones are fairly Technic based, so keeping the aesthetic is easy if you use a lot of Technic, but I wanted to make it look even more rough than that. But yeah, no, so like I said, nothing too crazy. I did originally want to make essentially the tail and or handle if it's the original one. A little bit more posable, but I liked the idea of using the elastic band holders that you would get in sets where the elastic bands would stay on for packaging purposes, but you can't really make them too flexible, so they're just using the clicky hinges. I would like at some point to get some more of this metal green parts, maybe to make a couple pipes go back, kind of, because I do believe these piping pieces do come in that metal green color as well. So I'd love to grab some of those, but these are literally the only, these three and one on the other side were the only four of those pieces I had, so kind of nice for that. So, yeah. Nothing too crazy really else to show. It's pretty much as you see it. I'd probably show a couple pictures I took outside where they're a lot clearer that I don't really like. But yeah, no, that was a really cool mock. That was the phase where it really was starting like Borak and the Bayrak and the whole story lore behind behind them in every kind of sort of sense of the word. So, like, is it the most canonical sort of thing to have your own Bayrak? Probably not, but at the end of the day, I think it's really cool. I think it's just kind of fun. And yeah, no, let me know what you think. And until next time, I have been Onvermel, and I'm retiring from the night.